Welcome into NHL Tonight, first shift for Friday, February the 7th, 2025. EJ Radic alongside the coach, Bruce Boudreau. Good to have you back.
EJ, it's always so much fun being back with you.
It's been a while.
It has been. I don't know. I've been away and doing other stuff.
You do a lot of stuff.
This is my favorite spot to be, so it's always great to be back.
Well, you're always a great teammate, so nice to have you here. And let's get right to first things first. We've got a busy show today. And a guy I think you know this gentleman, Mr. Alexander Ovechkin. He had another goal last night against the Flyers in their 4-3 win, and 16 goals now away from the record. I think he's going to do it this year.
You know what? I would have, when he broke his leg, I would have said, no, well, that's unfortunate, but it's too late. Then he comes back like 17 days later or something, and he's continuing on a pace that look at 39 years old, he's on a pace that he's going to break it.
Well, he's going to break it. It's just a matter now.
He's going to break it this year.
When, and he's in less games right now than Wayne, so he could do it in less games. I guess we'll see how it plays out.
And that would even be more amazing. But I mean, he's doing it different ways. I mean, yeah, there's the empty net goals, but I mean, people like he did it in overtime in Ottawa. He does the one-timer coming on the right side the other night here, last night. And I mean, everything he finds different ways, but people tend to forget how accurate his shot is.
That's the thing, Bruce, that last night I'm watching the highlights last night. I'm watching the games. I brought my son in, and I said, just watch how fast this puck is off his stick, because there's nothing special about this. It's a good pass, and he drops his hand a little bit and just right off his stick, and it's on the net. It's not off the post, but it doesn't have to be that precise. It just has to hit the net when it's off your stick that fast.
And he knows where it's going. And I mean, and he's so strong. He puts his bottom hand and he leans on that stick. So it's not like the stick bounces back and the puck can go under or it can float a little bit. He gets a lot on those things. And people don't realize if you've seen him enough, and I mean, especially that one year that I had him when he scored 65, he knows where this puck is going all the time. He is so accurate with that shot. And I mean, it's fun to watch, and it's fun to watch him now because he's now getting, again, you can see him getting excited every night. For A, the Capitals never seem to lose, and B, he's scoring on a daily basis. So I mean, I think these last 30 games or whatever they have left. I mean, he's going to break the record this year. I know I see it in his eyes, and you just can tell.
They've got 28 games left right now on the schedule. You can see the pace he's been on. He's been on a great pace. The only time, we saw it before, he was on a pace when you first got there. That was the all-time pace that he was on. I think it was .79 per game. But you can see here the projected could be the targeted April 10th based on this season. If he scores on the pace that he has throughout his career, it will be April 17th. Wouldn't that be something?
I don't know.
If it was April 17th at Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby in the building. Those two have been linked so much, and Gretzky would obviously be there as well. He wants to be there like Gordie Howe was on hand for him.
Just think if it is in Pittsburgh. First of all, I have to say I hope it's in Washington. That's where he's been for all his life, and I mean, I think it would be fitting for the great fans of the DC
no question.
area.
I'm sure they'll be filling that place up.
But if it's in Pittsburgh, the rivalry for 20 years between him and Sid, but you know that Wayne's going to be there. I'm saying that Mario's going to be in the building. I'm saying that there's potential Yoggers in the building, and you could have the third scorer, the second scorer, the first scorer, and Mario in the building. What a sight to see when that picture would be taken.
Yeah, that would be kind of amazing. But he is on a roll right now, and he had a chance late in the game. They had the net empty again, and this is what we've talked about over the last several days, because people talk about these empty net goals. I mean, it's part of hockey. I mean, Wayne Gretzky had 56 of them. I think it's 63 now for Alex Ovechkin. The fact that the Capitals are playing such great hockey, and they are winning seemingly every night, there's going to be many situations where the net at the other end is empty. He was out there last night. He couldn't get anything going last night, but you can see the President's Trophy standings there. They're right there with the Winnipeg Jets. The Washington Capitals have played 54 games. The Jets have played 55. But pretty amazing. And there you can see most points in the season. Who's that guy? I see his name up there 3 times.
Well,
Bruce
I think he's
Boudreau?
Yeah, Bourdieu.
Yeah.
He's going to surpass that, I think, this year.
Yeah.
The rate they're going, like, I mean, I do a lot of their pre and post games, and if they're close in the third period, they've got to will that team that seems to, like against the Flyers last night, they're down a goal, but that doesn't scare them. They get 2 goals, and if they're up a goal, they really know how to lock it down. I think they've got a great combination. Let's hope it continues through the postseason.
And Jacob Chychrun with another goal last night. Another rocket by Jacob Chychrun. I think he's got 14 now, so really happy for Jacob. And
Good
so
time
a big
to be
night.
a free agent.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That is true. I'm sure they'll want to lock him down and keep him in D.C. We had another great finish last night. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Utah Hockey Club. How about this play by Connor Ingram? Comes out of the net, fires it off the glass. Here comes Dylan Guenther. Save! Goal! There it is.
I mean, this kid has great hands. And
He just scored an overtime winner at the buzzer against the Flyers the other night in Utah, and he takes this pass. That's a primary assist right there for Connor Ingram, the goaltender, and Guenther is just, I mean, puts it in the pads and then gets the rebound, makes no mistake.
well, you know what we were talking earlier, and as an ex-goalie, I mean, the one thing that amazes me is Connor Ingram knew what he was going to do before he got the puck.
Well, he was decisive.
Yeah,
right?
and so, like, I mean, he's watching the play. He knows where everybody is on the ice. So when he sees the puck floating to him, he's already got in his mind that, okay, I'm making that play, because he knew he was going to catch 3 guys in overtime on Utah or on Columbus, and he did. And it was a great play by him.
And Dylan Guenther, I mean, he is a talented young guy with a knack for scoring big goals. Remember, he scored a goal and gold for Canada at the World Juniors a couple years ago, and back from injury now. And you know, you're a guy that was a scorer, Bruce, when you played. I mean, when you watch this guy play, anything, he just seems to have that look that he feels like he's going to score anytime he has the puck.
Well, first of all, he's got a tremendous release on his shot, and that really helps. He plays the half ball on the power play on the other side, too. But what I see is the puck follows him. I mean, it's hard to even tell people what that means, but it seems like wherever he goes, the puck is coming to him. And, I mean, they've got that knack. I mean, I'm not putting him in the Gretzky world, but, I mean, that's one of the great things that Wayne had. But when you've got that shot and you're coming off that wing on the right side, I mean, he reminds me, I know I'm getting older, but Lanny McDonald coming off that wing would shoot the puck like that, and it's accurate as all get out, and he loves to score. I love guys that love to score because they will pay the price to get the puck and loose pucks in any situation, and he seems to be one of those guys.
That is, I mean, for the viewers and the listeners out there, you hear that, like, you know, they would say, well, listen, doesn't everybody love to score? But some guys love it a little more than others. Ovechkin has shown that over the years. In any circumstance, he's always pumped up to score. And I think you're saying the same thing here about Dylan
Well, they're
Guenther.
willing to pay the price. I mean, some guys love to score when they get the puck on a rush and that. But when you see a puck and there's 3 guys in front of you, but you're so determined to get that puck because you want that, you
want that cookie.
You'll take shots to the head. You'll take all of those things just to get the goal. And it just never seems to hurt when you score.
Yeah, well, he was feeling no pain last night, and back-to-back overtime game winners for Dylan Guenther and for the Utah Hockey Club as they continue to try to push their way up the standings. We got the schedule for you tonight. 5 games on the docket, and I would say of these 5, 4 really good games. You got the 7 o'clock Penguins and Rangers. That's right here on NHL Network. 8 o'clock Islanders and Jets. 8:30 Preds and Hawks. 9 o'clock McKinnon and McDavid going head-to-head. The Avalanche and the Oilers, and 10:30, the Stars and the Kings, another good one out west. I love a night like this. It was like last night. The games were separated a little bit, and that certainly makes it easier to take it all in. Here's a note from Josh Getzoff, the Penguins play-by-play voice, and this is from the Penguins. Sidney Crosby will not play tonight. We talked about it yesterday. He got dinged up against the Devils, didn't practice yesterday, was on the ice, but did not practice with the team, so he is taking it one day at a time, and then Alex Nedeljkovic will get the start against the Rangers tonight. And he'll have to be good because Crosby's out, and Evgeny Malkin is out as well, so it's going to be a challenge for a battered Penguins team that's trying desperately to stay in the mix at Madison Square Garden tonight against a Rangers club that's won 2 in a row, that just got JT Miller. They have a big couple of games coming up because they've got tonight and then they travel to Columbus tomorrow night. So the Penguins, without Crosby and Malkin,
I mean,
you can see where they are in the standings. It's, they're scrambling.
on paper, it looks like, okay, this is going to be an easy one for the Rangers. But all I know is my history tells me anytime you think something's easy, then it never is, and bad things happen. And it's also the first chance since November that the Rangers have had to win 3 in a row. Yeah. I think if they want to go in Columbus on a 3-game winning streak, and this is to get them right back in the race against the team that they got to catch. But they got to get by Pittsburgh first. And the other thing about the Penguins, they're in the dressing room saying, if we don't bring our A game, if we don't play better than we're capable of, I look around the room and we're missing our 2 big studs, we're going to get killed. So I mean, they will play better than than normally. I mean, you look at their forward lines there; they're not a lot of them are going to.
Raquel moves into the middle, but you had Raquel in his first years in Anaheim, and you say he's a guy that can play the middle. He just got moved to the wing, but it won't be like something he can't do or hasn't done before.
No, he's a natural centerman. He played center his whole life. When we thought we had 3 good centers in Anaheim, and the thing was, when he was younger, he wasn't as strong. So, I mean, the centerman has got to be pretty good down low, and he still had the junior tendencies and wasn't strong. So we thought we'd move him to the wing, still get his creativity, still get his shot, and then move back to center in a year or 2 once he's been acclimated to the league. But he was just so good on the wing that kept him there all this time. But I know he'll be excited to get back there, because once a center, you love playing in the middle. You get to wander all over the place.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting tonight, and we've got Shesterkin at one end, and then we'll have Nedeljkovic at the other end. Nedeljkovic's had a good year. He scored a goal. He's had some big moments. I mean, he's going to be leaned on tonight.
If I were him, I'd be going, I better be good tonight. I mean, they're going to come at you full throttle, and especially with only a couple games to the 4 nations. You want to go into that break on a high. You don't want to go, if you're losing and you're sitting there, I got 2 weeks now to think about this. You want to go out there 2 weeks thinking that I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out tonight. Right here on the NHL Network, 7 o'clock. The Penguins and the Rangers at MSG. Now, we're talking about goalies. Connor Hellebuyck in the mix tonight, taking on Ilya Sorokin. What a great matchup of 2 high-end goalies tonight. Sorokin has been just lights out good over the last month or so. Hellebuyck's been doing it all year long.
42 games, he's only lost 7 in regulation. I mean, that's pretty special right there. Sorokin, I think he's gone 9 games without a loss, and his goals against is under 2. And I mean, the Islanders are again one of those teams that say we got to keep winning, because the minute we slow down and lose 2 or 3 in a row, we're going to be out of the race. So I think with Winnipeg looking for their 8th win in a row, the Islanders looking to keep their thing going, this could be the game of the night quietly without anybody thinking it.
And, you know, the thing that was on that board was really the key, is their penalty killing. Their penalty killing has been disastrous really the last couple of years, and really awful through the end of the calendar year 2024. They were somewhere hovering around 60%, which, as you know, Bruce, I mean, you're not going very far when your penalty killing is that bad. But since the start of the calendar year, their penalty killing is up near 90%. It's been very good. Obviously, some of that is tied to Sorokin, but they've cleaned that up, and that is just so important.
It is so important, because 60% will get a coach fired, but 90% will make you look like a genius. Yeah. So I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, if you can go keep the other team 0 for 3 on the power play, then you get to dictate what kind of game you're going. If your penalty killing is at 60%, you don't get to dictate the game. Nope. You can't be physical for fear of taking a penalty. You can't be overly offensive, because I mean, you're worried about, we're going to have to take a penalty coming back. So I mean, this puts everybody's mind at ease, and I think it's a big reason that the Islanders are on the roll that they're on.
So the Islanders tonight taking on the Winnipeg Jets. They'll be in Minnesota tomorrow night, so a tough turnaround for the Isles. We got a big one tonight with the Oilers and the Avalanche getting together, and McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Makar. I mean, all kinds of star power. You can see here are the 2 lead dogs, McKinnon and McDavid. And you can see Nathan McKinnon leading the league in scoring right now. Leon Draisaitl right on his tail. And Connor McDavid sitting there in 4th spot right now. That's going to be, when those 2 teams play, it's always high energy, extraordinary pace, fun to watch.
Yeah, you know what's going to be even more fun to watch is if McKinnon is playing against McDavid.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those guys, they know.
Yeah.
They know who's number one in
They'll
the
be
league.
teammates next week.
They'll be teammates
next
but they
week.
want to.
Not tonight.
I mean, listen. I used to find that my best friends were the guys I played hardest against.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you want to beat them because you want summer bragging rights. And I mean, in this case, it might be just next week bragging rights. So I mean, I think it's going to be quite a game.
Yeah, it should be fun to see McKinnon and McDavid tonight, the Avalanche and the Oilers at 9 o'clock. One other thing about that game, Corey Perry still hanging in there. You had him in Anaheim. He's got 10 goals this year, and he's been playing on the top line in Edmonton, which is a nice line to play on.
Had him for 5 years, and I'll tell you one thing about Corey. He's not going to be awestruck by playing with
Not going to defer, just to make the right plays.
He's just going to say, you guys play with it in your zone, I'll catch up.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, and when he gets there, he is so good under the circles. He will win the battles for them. He will go to the net, and I mean, I'll tell you what, this is going to prolong his career even longer. I mean, good for Corey, and I mean, he's done so well. It would not surprise me he gets a goal or more tonight.
Oh, okay. A little predictions. From
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. We'll see. You have to keep a watchful eye on. You're going to watch that one anyway. I mean, you got some of the best players in the National Hockey League. The Avs coming in off a victory over the Calgary Flames on Thursday night. When we come back, Declan Farmer. They're so excited. Declan Farmer. To me, he is the greatest sled hockey player I have ever seen. So happy we're having him join the show. That's coming up next on First Shift. Hey, this is a good day for me, Bruce.
I know.
Because
I know.
we got Declan Farmer joining us. You can see the resume there. 3-time Paralympian gold medal winner for Team USA. You can see 7 times a medalist at the World Championships, 4 times gold, 3 times silver. I've been waiting to get Declan Farmer on the show, and here he is. To me, I mentioned it as we were getting ready for the interview. To me, of all the players in hockey, men's players, women's players, I don't care what kind of hockey player you are, Declan Farmer, to me, you are outstanding. You are an amazing player to watch. Thanks so much for doing this today. We really appreciate it. I'll just start by asking you this. Like, when did you first start playing sled hockey? Because, like, it seems you are an unbelievable natural to me at this, the way that you're able to manipulate the puck and move around the ice in that circumstance on the sled.
Well, thanks, EJ. I mean, I got to return the favor. I'm a huge fan as well. Grew up watching you on NHL Network, so
thank you.
It's a huge pleasure to be on your show with Bruce as well.
Thank you.
To answer your question, I started when I was 8 years old, so that's pretty early for a sled hockey player, as a lot of us kind of find the sport after injuries in life, later in life. I started pretty early, so yeah, definitely kind of being on the ice is a second nature to me.
Wow.
I mean, I can't imagine, I've seen it close up, and from far away, you don't realize how skilled you guys are. But one of the questions I want to know is, when you train off the ice, what do you do? A lot of lifting? I mean,
Yeah.
because your muscles, upper body strength has got to be incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of lifting. It's a big focus on back muscles. Stand-up hockey players probably doing a lot of lower body stuff. We kind of focus on our back and general upper body. In addition to skating, there's a lot of cardio as well. Get on the hand bike, swimming, rowing machine, different stuff like that. So it's kind of a typical split you see from an athlete who's playing a team sport, but of course, a focus on the upper body and the back, because we're pulling. It's all pull muscles when we're in the sled.
Watching you play over the years, and like I said, I've been amazed at some of the things that you're able to do. I mean, you can snap that puck, I mean, as well as a lot of guys that are playing in the NHL who have the special sticks. You have the shorter stick there.
Right,
it gets nasty out there. I mean, bring us inside those games, especially those games against Canada where it's real heavy competition. I mean, I see you guys they're jabbing each other. It's nasty.
Yeah, it is nasty for sure. I mean, with our equipment differences, with we have picks on the bottom of our 2 sticks, so that's a a couple extra weapons out there on the ice that, can get a little dirty in the corners. But yeah, it's a lot like the stand-up game where US Canada is the big rivalry. We play them, several times every year. Lately, it's kind of always us versus Canada and gold medal games, kind of like you see on the women's stand-up side of things. So, we know a lot of those guys. We're competing against them. They got the best of us in the most recent World Championship. So we're training hard and trying to get some payback when we take them on home ice and Worlds coming up in May.
For the Worlds, is your team already picked? And then you go to training camp. If the Worlds are in May, when will you get together as a group and then start really focusing on it?
It's kind of like a full season thing. We'll actually play several exhibition tournaments and games and training camps throughout the season. So starting in September, we'll have either a training camp that's about a week long, or like a week or two tournament every month of the year. So it's roughly the same team. I'd say we take probably 18 or 19 for most of the season. And then by the time of our final camp before Worlds, we'll cut it to 17. And that's the roster we take. So I think they have one more cut to make for the season. But it's pretty much the same core group of guys.
So coming up, you've got this Christopher Reeve Hockey Classic coming up in Massachusetts. What can you tell us about it? Here is the note. The game will support the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation's Quality of Life Grant Program, coming up on February the 19th in Saugus, Mass. What do we know about this? And I'm sure this is another opportunity playing against Canada where, as you said, it's a rivalry, so, doesn't matter. You're playing for a gold medal or you're just playing at an event like this. It could get dicey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, it's exciting to partner with the Reeve Foundation for this, but we'll be playing Canada a couple times in conjunction with the NHL Four Nation Face-Off. So that would be really cool to be there. Both teams, us and Canada, will actually be going to the championship game in Boston. So awesome. I think we're obviously rooting for the U.S. to get there. They're hoping Canada gets there. But yeah, it'll be a couple of nasty games. It'll kind of be like a final tune-up before Worlds as far as playing Canada on the ice. Even though these games don't really count for anything in the long run, it's still kind of about sending a message and kind of building our game in the right direction before the World Championships.
Okay, you've been playing for a long time and you play against Canada an awful lot. I don't need names, but are there certain guys on that team? We're playing Canada, and I hate this guy. And I always used to just, if I'm playing that guy and I get a chance, I'm going to get him. I'm going to run him. When you're playing Canada, is there that animosity towards individuals? And when you meet them off the ice, is it all of a sudden, everything's okay, cool? Or do we keep that animosity going?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of animosity. We're respectful off the ice, but I think there's a handful of guys that most of us kind of have on our list, you could say. I'll give one name. He's Greg Westlake. He's one of their assistant coaches now. He was one of their best players. He was their captain when I first started. So we kind of went at each other for probably close to 10 seasons before he retired. So he was one that always mix it up. We would get into it on the ice a lot. He was a good troll out there. So we had fun, but he's now he's kind of giving back to the game, coaching with the Canadian team, which is cool to see him still traveling around and on the bench and stuff.
So coming up, you have the World Championships again, and then you have the Paralympics that's building up for next year in Milan. So that'll be exciting for you. And, again, one of the things I'm drawn to watching you play is that you are able to use both hands. And it seems to me, I'm watching and just kind of amazed at what you can do. But, you're playing the game. You seem to be able to handle the puck and shoot equally from either side. Do you have one side that you like to use more? Do you use the backhand? You're able to just sling that puck around. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's super cool. That's my favorite part about sled hockey is having the difference in using two hands, because no matter where you are on the ice, you're always on your strong side. You can shoot it from whatever hand is kind of optimal for the situation. And I started young. I started playing when I was 8. I'm right-handed, so right-hand's definitely kind of the side I lean towards. But I started practicing with my left hand since I was a kid. So, it's not very adept with it outside of sled hockey. But in sled hockey, it's pretty smooth at this point. And, it's just a huge part of the game. you can do so much with it. Players that can use both hands equally just have a massive advantage. Like I couldn't even really imagine playing if I, couldn't be as strong with my left hand as my right. So it's a huge advantage. It's definitely kind of helped me, set myself apart a little bit early on in my career as someone who is using the left hand quite a bit more than most. And I think it's now catching on. Like everyone in the national team now has to have a good weak side hand, or it's just, you're missing opportunities on the ice.
Okay, your idol in ice hockey has always been Steve Stamkos.
Yeah.
And do you picture yourself like, I mean, was it his shot? Was it his knack of scoring because you're a scorer? What was it about Steven that really drew you to him watching him play?
Yeah, I think early on when I was younger, it was definitely the scoring. But as I got older and, just a huge Tampa Bay Lightning fan, I worked for them for a couple summers during college in the community hockey department. And I think it's his leadership. Like was considering, one of the best captains in the NHL, brought back-to-back cups. And he just kind of embodied the city, and the Lightning are really just like Tampa's team. And, he was the face of that. He, made hockey like, such a cool sport in Tampa, something, that everyone wanted to, everyone wants to go to Amalie Arena to watch a Lightning game. And, he was really part of that with Jeff Finnick just kind of and John Cooper just building up that franchise to what it is today. So definitely admire him as like a leader and what he did for the sport.
Declan, you're quite an accomplished young man in a lot of areas. You're a graduate of Princeton University, so congratulations on that as well. As you get, we move forward here, you got the event coming up, then you have the Worlds, but, the Paralympics, that's a big deal. You guys have won that gold medal 3 times now. How excited are you about trying to make it a 4th time and in the run-up to this? I mean, because, we're going to be excited to watch, obviously, what happens during the tournament, the men's hockey and the women's hockey tournament over at the Olympics coming up next year. But how excited are you for this? Because this is something special. I mean, I've heard of 3-peats. It's hard to get to a 4-peat. So, I'm sure you guys are revved up.
We're extremely revved up. With Beijing being the most recent one, our families, our friends didn't get to go. We were kind of over there alone. It was kind of stressful just getting to the games, making sure you were going to even be able to play. So I think part of this one is, yes, it would be personally for, but it's also, playing for friends and family and everyone who actually gets to go over and watch and share in that experience this time, along with playing for some of my teammates who it'll be their first games. It'll be their first kind of real games with spectators and everything. So that's kind of who I'm playing for this time. Like we're super excited. I get kind of butterflies just thinking about it. Like we're closing in on a year out, and it just, you kind of want to make the most of every day. So you're in the, really just peaking at the top of your game when we get over there. And I kind of like where our team's at now. And I like kind of the hunger we have, that I think we'll hopefully build off of during this next season.
Well, I have one more question. Okay, I mean, you've been in this business for a long time, and you graduated Princeton. But when you're done, are you thinking maybe I could coach now, or do you want to stay in the game, or do you want to get out and use your education for what it was supposed to be intended for?
Yeah. I think. It's just hard I can't imagine not playing now. Yeah. It's just, I have so much fun with it. Just, I'm so close with my teammates and our staff and everything. It's just like, I think when I was younger, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll like play. And then after college, I'll get a regular job and keep trying to play hockey. But it was just like, I just love it so much. I want to put everything I have into it. And yeah, when the time comes, I think I'll still be involved with hockey, whether it's coaching, management, some other thing. I'm involved with USA Hockey now as one of the athlete representatives in their organization. So I'm just all about hockey, all about giving back to the sport. And I can't imagine hanging up anytime soon. So Milan will not be the end for me on the ice.
Good. I mean, again, I'm very sincere when I tell you this, Declan. Again, I've watched over the years, and I'm just amazed at what you could do. You are a special, special player, and you're really a special young man, and you will be involved in this for a long time. So good luck at the upcoming good luck at the upcoming Classic in Massachusetts and certainly at the Worlds. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you again. I got a lot more questions for you.
Yeah, sounds
It's
good.
great talking to you.
All right.
Thank
Declan
you.
Farmer, Team USA, one of maybe the greatest sled hockey player that's ever played. I mean, he is magnificent. Coming up next, JP Morosi will check in with us. That's next on First Shift. Here's a tweet from our buddy, John Morosi. I like to call him JP Morosi, but here it is. Bill Guerin, Team USA GM, or the GM of the Team USA at the Four Nations Faceoff, is the first Hispanic player in the NHL. His late grandfather likely never saw a sheet of ice in Nicaragua. I would probably bet on that too.
Yeah.
But Victor Delgadillos, I don't know if I'm getting that right, JP will correct me. Belief in Education changed hockey history, and his story is up now on NHL.com. And with that, we welcome in JP, who is the international special correspondent for NHL.com, along with all the other things he does. And obviously, one of the great MLB journalists, does stuff for us with MLB Network as well. JP, thanks for the time. First of all, correct me on the pronunciation of the name.
Yes, EJ and Bruce, great to be with you. It is Delgadillo.
Yeah, I knew it.
Oh,
I knew it.
We have to Delgadillo.
Delgadillo.
I got it.
Yes.
Getting it
There
down.
you go.
Yeah.
See, we're dumb, but we learn. We can learn. So, JP, what did you find out about Bill Guerin? It's very interesting, obviously, that for him to be the first guy of Hispanic background to play in the National Hockey League.
EJ, it really is. It's a fun story to be able to tell. And like so many players that Bill Guerin has chosen for Team USA, everybody has a story of how they came to be American and how they came to fall in love with hockey. And the story of Bill Guerin's family goes back to his late grandfather, Victor. And there's a photo of Bill with his mother on the far right. That's Ligia on the far right. His sister, Melissa, there is on Bill's right, and his brother is with him as well. And so his late grandfather grew up in the town of Bluefields, Nicaragua, which is very close to, it's a shipping port there that had a lot of American influence over the years. So his grandfather, and there are his parents, Bill and Ligia, his grandfather became fascinated with America. And some of his grandfather's relatives had moved to live in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Oh, my Lord.
And so Victor believed that he wanted his children, including his daughters, which was a bit of a revolutionary idea at the time, to be educated in the United States. And so Ligia, who's Bill's mother, arrives to Oxford, Mississippi, and Ole Miss, to be educated at the university level in 1961. So this is 1 year before James Meredith becomes the first African American to attend Ole Miss. So she arrives there from Nicaragua, speaking very little English, in the middle of the civil rights movement in the United States. And then Bill's father, Bill Guerin Sr., had actually just graduated from St. Anselm College in Massachusetts, had come down to Ole Miss and working with the Catholic Church there, and meets Ligia there. Think about that unlikely couple. A graduate from St. Anselm in Massachusetts comes down to Ole Miss and meets an immigrant from Nicaragua. They fall in love, they have a family, and then their son, Bill Guerin, becomes the first ever Hispanic player in the NHL. 4 Stanley Cups later, and a gold medal at the World Cup in '96. Now he's the GM of Team USA at the Four Nations Faceoff.
So was Bill born in Massachusetts or Mississippi?
Yes. Yes. So Bill was born in Mass, and grew up in Massachusetts. But he talked about how growing up, Bruce, he would meet with his relatives who were Nicaraguan, and he would speak very little Spanish. You could understand little bits of the conversation at dinner, but he certainly grew up with a real understanding of his mother's culture. And actually, Melissa Escadillo, who's Bill's sister, told this really moving story about how she had watched Bill play when he was playing for Team USA back in '92, and Bill was the last cut from the Olympic team in '92. But then he ends up signing with the Devils, where his coach was Herb Brooks, who, of course, had been the last cut from the 1960 Olympic team. So Bill goes on to play in the Olympics in 2002 in Salt Lake City, but Melissa talked very emotionally about how the pride of being American was so intertwined with their mother's immigrant story and certainly their grandfather's belief. And it all starts with Victor's dream and a man from Nicaragua who had never seen a sheet of ice in his life, and now his grandson is the GM of Team USA.
JP, when you did the work on the story and you talked to Bill and you talked to some members of his family, do they have a strong belief in fate? because it seems like there has been a lot of things that kind of fell right in the right path to lead Bill to where he was in his hockey career, and now as the manager at the Four Nations face-off and the Olympics coming up.
You're right, EJ, and I think fate is part of it, and faith honestly is as well. Certainly, the Guerin family. Bill, of course, played at BC, so I think faith is certainly a strong line through the family, and that was actually what brought Bill Sr. down to the campus in Oxford where he met Ligia. And Melissa I had such a wonderful time speaking with her because she talked about her father who passed away some number of years ago, that he was a really fitting person in the idea of thinking globally and acting locally. He's truly served his community in many different ways. And I think that's, and certainly Bruce knows from being involved in hockey, and you do too, EJ, so much of what Bill Guerin's reputation has been, great teammate, someone that would have a tough role on a team. You think about the checking role that he had on the team in '96 as they won a gold medal. He could be a superstar if needed. He could be a grinder if needed. And I think it's that same teammate ethic that his dad had for a long career. He worked in financial services for Kidder Peabody and for UBS in the New York area and in Massachusetts. And so I think it's a real idea of service. So certainly the Guerin family, very service-oriented. And I think that's the way that Bill has shaped this U.S. roster. A lot of players who are seeking to be teammates first and superstars second.
Well, he was always a great teammate, and he was always in the middle of all the things that good teammates do. So I think that's how he's trying to build the team, is everybody being tight and close together. And, I mean, you can see the influence of education from his father. Going to BC and starting from there. I mean, all things, like I had Bill for a year as a GM, and when you're telling these stories, you can really see them come through in his character of the way he was when I got to know him.
Yeah, Bruce, I think it's a great point. And I love, too, in the roster that he has built, I love, too, that USA Hockey and the different paths of players have taken to play on this team. Yeah, there are a handful of players, and certainly more than a handful, that have come through the USA Hockey National Team Development Program. That's true. But Connor Hellebuyck did not, and Kyle Connor did not. There are some of the greatest players in this country right now who had different paths. And I think I want to credit the USA Hockey leadership for staying with a lot of these players and not making too many decisions about them for good when they're 16, 17 years old. I love the story about Connor Hellebuyck. Right now, probably the best goaltender in the world. He played 4 years of high school hockey in Michigan, in Walled Lake, which is not usually a path to greatness in terms of the NHL. He went down to the NAHL and played for the Odessa Jackalopes. So this was not someone who was destined for this type of mantle when he was 16, 17 years of age. So I think that Connor Hellebuyck story, and Kyle Connor was not someone that was on all the Team USA's growing up, and now he is as prolific of a goal scorer as there is. And also the story of Austin Matthews. I think you think about the way that the talent pool in the U.S. has expanded. Austin Matthews, one of the most prominent Mexican-American players we've ever seen in the game. His dad is born in California. His mom is born in Mexico. He's the captain of Team USA. So the way that the U.S. roster has developed and broadened, players who grew up in Arizona, as Austin did, I think it just speaks to the depth of talent now in the U.S. talent pool.
You know, and just a side note, too, I talked to Mike Modano yesterday, and he mentioned to me that, like, he's going into Montreal, and Bill has kind of brought in a lot of USA Hockey kind of, heroes from the past. Like, some of the guys from the 1980 team are going to be there. They're going to have a big get-together, so I'm sure that's going to be a big night. And it's also, to your story, like, it's talking about family and bringing everybody together. So that should be a great night for all those guys in Montreal. I want to ask you, though, JP, about the Olympics are coming up, and I know that, you feel very strongly about your Italian heritage. Team Italy, you're hoping for big things for Team Italy as they get moving up in the World Championships and maybe in the Olympics. They're going to be the host country. They do have a new coach. Give us the background on that, because something a little different.
Yes, EJ. And by the way, my wardrobe today, purely coincidental, green and blue, the colors of the Italian national team. I promise it was just what I was wearing today.
Sure, sure.
Right,
and for the last week, probably, yeah.
Exactly right. So the new coach of Team Italy, Jukka Jalonen, who is a well-known name if you follow international hockey, he and Mike Babcock, the only coaches ever to win the Olympics, the World Championships and the World Juniors as a head coach. Now, Jallonen did all of that for his home country in Finland. In fact, he is the reigning Olympic champion. He guided Finland to their first ever gold in the men's Olympic tournament back in 2022. That is an amazing resume. And I spoke with Jukka recently. We'll have some of the sound here in a minute. And he actually was talking to one of his players, Thomas Larkin, a longtime captain of the Italian national team, where basically Thomas Larkin asked him, what are you doing here? Why did you take this job of a country that's never medaled at the men's worlds, never medaled in the Olympics? So why are you here? Well, here's the question I asked to Jukka as well, and here is what he told me about that decision.
Of course, there's Olympics. Olympics were coming, and I have been there twice in Olympics in Vancouver and in Beijing, and we have managed to get two medals out of those two competitions and tournaments, and I knew that it would be a great, and it's still like in Italy. In Italy, it's our home, like home games and home tournament, and I knew that if I would go to coach Italy, the players would be very, very excited, not because I went there, but because of for a chance to play for Olympics and to represent their country in Olympic games, which wouldn't be any time possible for Italian hockey and Italian hockey players. So it's once in a lifetime chance, and that's what I also thought behind my final decision.
It's remarkable to hear Jukka Jallonen, someone who has achieved so much, to take on this assignment. And one thing that he can do, EJ and Bruce, in Italy that he could never do in Finland or some of the more prominent countries is he could change the history of hockey with this tournament to where you might see, and Bruce, you know it well from having coached in the Spengler Cup, just how much talent there is over there, but also areas of Europe where the game can still grow. And he is very committed, Jukka is, to growing the roster organically from talent from Italy. You can certainly have players of Italian descent who are from the U.S. or from Canada, but he really wants this roster to be people who are growing up in the Italian system or at the very least playing in Italian-based clubs. So Bruce, maybe a thought from you from having known the talent pool over there in the Spengler Cup to take on a task like this for someone with Jukka's resume.
Well, first of all, it's a fabulous challenge. That would be the thing that excited me, is the challenge of doing something. But if you know one thing about those Finnish teams is they're by far the most disciplined because they never have the most talent. So I'm thinking he's thinking that, you know what, we're not going to have that talent. But if we can play disciplined and we get good goaltending, we could hang in to maybe get a medal. But my question is simple. There's a 500,000 Italians living in Toronto. I mean, it's the most Italians in any city outside of Italy. I mean, we couldn't find a good Italian guy from Toronto where I grew up in there. But
Bruce, I'll tell you this. So Jukka wanted the job. Actually, I'm not sure if many of our viewers are aware of this, but his immediate predecessor as the head coach of the Italian national team is Mike Keenan. Mike Keenan was coaching Italy up until the last year or so when Jukka took over. So the Italian Federation has tried different coaches at different times. Greg Ireland from Canada, longtime coach as well. So, but they wanted someone with the pedigree of an Olympic champion. How could you go wrong? And you're right. I think the hope is probably, and at least I'll help tell the story as best I can, Bruce, that if you are growing up in Vaughan or Woodbridge, or if you're in one of the many Italian-American communities like those in Michigan, that maybe Italy is your second team. Yeah, the U.S. is your first team or Canada is your first team, but the Italians might well become the second team, maybe even for Mike Modano, who EJ just referenced a short time ago.
Well, think of the good news. If you're the Italian Olympic people that hired it, and you just had Mike Keenan, you're getting an easier guy to work with, I can tell you that.
Hey, it reminds me of Herb Brooks. Didn't he coach Team France one year, like at the Olympics, right? So
he did. I think it's a great, and to Bruce's point earlier, what Jukka told me was, I want our team to be hard to play against, and that Bruce just said it a moment ago. That's that Finnish work ethic. So if you marry that Finnish work ethic with a little bit of Italian style, maybe we'll shock the world there 1 year from now in Milano.
All right. Well, listen, JP, thanks for continuing to tell these stories. You do such great work. We really appreciate it, and have a great afternoon and a good weekend. Nice to be with you again.
Thanks, EJ and Bruce. All the best. Keep up the great work that you do in the show. Thank you.
Have fun in Windsor.
I will.
That's right.
I promise.
All right, JP Morosi. Always got good stories about everything. Coming up next, we're going to do a few predictions for the upcoming Four Nations face-off. That's next on First Shift. Well, the Four Nations face-off starts next week. You can see it there. TNT and ESPN will have the games, culminating with the championship game on February the 20th. NHL Tonight right here on the NHL Network before and after every game. So stay tuned to the NHL Network for that. Looking forward to the Four Nations face-off. Let's bring in our producer, JD Lindbergh. This is our last show, JD.
Got a bit of a break coming up,
We got 2 weeks. We're off for 2 weeks. We come back. Fittingly enough, we come back on February the 24th, which will be the 45th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, the culmination of that Olympic tournament when Team USA beat the Finns. So we'll be back, and we'll be able to talk about all that's gone on in the Four Nations face-off.
If Brucey opens up his piggy bank, maybe we can run some video of that. But Olympic footage is a little expensive, so.
No.
Bruce.
No. There's no piggy bank around here.
All right, you guys, final 90 seconds of the show before the Four Nations face-off. So a couple of predictions here. Sterno, let's see the odds. Bruce, you first. Who's going to lead the tournament in goals? You can see Austin Matthews is the favorite, slightly ahead of Connor McDavid or Braden Point. Brucey, who you got?
Well, you know what? I put some thought into this, and before I saw this graphic, I was picking Austin Matthews because I think McDavid and McKinnon are going to, have dual. They're going to do it themselves type thing. They're going to sort of cancel each other out.
Okay.
Whereas Matthews is going to be in every situation on every first power play unit, and so I think he's going to. It's going to be him. He's going to play 4 games, so I think he's going to be the leading scorer.
All right. I'll take Sam Reinhart. I just have been so amazed with his game over the last couple of years, seeing what he's done in Florida. I'll go off the board with Sam Reinhart.
Nice. Final 30 seconds of the program. Fellas, who's going to win it all? Looking at the odds, USA and Canada co-favorites. EJ.
Well, listen, I do the U.S. games for the World Junior Championship, so I'm a little bit biased here. I am an American citizen for my entire life, so I'll take Team USA, Bruce.
Well, I'm Canadian.
There you go. I think so. You'll take Finland.
Well, yeah, Canada needs this win just for their own psyche. The World Juniors were a bust. Canada's got to come up big in this tournament here, or people will be talking about Canadian hockey.
USA.
There you go.
USA. Let's go.
All right. See you in a few weeks.